Hi, I'm Paul and welcome to part 3 of my Obsidian Bases Migration Series. In today's video, we'll explore my Obsidian Book Vault Pro Bases integration. First, I'll showcase my own Obsidian Book Vault to show you Obsidian Bases and my previous Dataview setup. Then I'll guide you step by step through integrating this setup into your vault. Whether you're curious about switching from Dataview to Bases or just ready to start experimenting with Bases, this video will give you everything you need to get started. Join me as we explore how Obsidian Bases can fundamentally transform your book management. My bookshelf showcase. Here I am inside of my Obsidian Vault, and over on the left hand side I have a personal development folder. If we expand that folder, inside there I've got content maps, authors, ideas, tools, and explorations. So when I first started using Obsidian, this was my core foundation to keep me motivated taking notes inside of my second brain. So if we open up the author folder, inside there I've got a whole bunch of authors, and inside each author I've got books that I've taken notes on. So if we look at Barbara Oakley here, I've got a book note on A Mind for Numbers. And then if I scroll down, I've got a little quote and some best ideas. So if I just open up this best idea, A Mind for Numbers, you can see here I've got a quote about A Mind for Numbers, and then I've got an Excalibur drawing that I've created for this best idea. And I've done that for all my book notes. So if I close this one and open up climbing, I've done the same for that one. So I like to make some Excalibur drawings about the best ideas that I've taken notes on for books. And I just find that helps with retention and recall. So when I'm exploring my book notes, I don't tend to go navigate through the left pane. I navigate to a map of content, and I've set up a workspace layout for that. So I'll come down and I'll load my workspace layout called Bookshelf. And that's going to take me to my map of content bookshelf. So we'll go through this map of content with you. So the first thing I want to do is we want to open the left pane and expand the map of content folder. And you can see there that I've got the bookshelf map of content. So that's where the bookshelf workspace layout navigates to. Up the top, I've got some metabind buttons that are being pulled in as an embed. So this bookshelf links to this map of content. I've got one going to book covers, one going to book bases, which we'll go through later in the video. And I've also got a button to create or add a new book, and one button to search and filter. Then I've got a hidden callout. If we expand the hidden callout, you can see I've got a whole bunch of links to different books from A to Z. And then if I scroll down, the initial bookshelf is any book starting with numbers. So you can see I've got 3 books here: 12 Rules for Life, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and 5 Types of People Who Can Ruin Your Life. So this is simply just a Dataview query. So if we have a look at the source code, we can see what the Dataview query looks like. So it's targeting anything in my Vault Books folder or with the tag book, where the file name is not equal to these files here, and when the file name is between 0 and 9, and then I'm sorting it ascending. So I have a link goes over to my book covers, and this one shows all the book covers inside of my Obsidian Vault. And I've also got this button here to search and filter. So I can select search and filter, and I could search by books that I've summarized. And then my Dataview query shows the books that I've already summarized. If I want to reset, I can select none. So that's quite useful. And then I can go back to the bookshelf by navigating back to the map of content bookshelf. So this bookshelf has been quite useful so far inside of Obsidian, so much so that I made a Bookshelf Vault Pro on my Ko-Fi page. So today I want to showcase how I'm migrating Obsidian Bases into my bookshelf. You can see here I've got a heading 2 called Base. If we expand the heading, we can see that I've got a view called Bookshelf, and I've got 3 results. We can see I've got the same 3 books that were shown in my bookshelf Dataview query, only this time I'm using a Obsidian base. So if we have a look at the filter over on the right hand side, we can see there are a lot of conditions that are any of the following are true. And if we just have a look at what's going on here. We're looking for the file name starts with and then the number, and we're just repeating that for all the numbers listed to 10. I've started creating book notes with emojis in the front, so we've also got conditions for those. And then I've got a exclude rule underneath for anything that I don't want to include. We have a look up the top here where it says all views and expand. We can see that we've got a rule for any of the following are true, where the tag contains the tag book, or the file has the tag book, and we can see what the syntax of that looks like there. If we expand the properties, we can see that we have some YAML properties added. So we've got a couple of formulas here with the little square with the F inside of it. So I've got a formula for cover and also a formula for date created. So if we have a look at the formula for cover and then go click the right arrow, we can see that the formula is image, parentheses, cover base, close parentheses. And with the release of Obsidian 1.9.6, we can now see whether our formula is valid, which is quite handy. So this is simply just looking for an image in my YAML property cover base. So if we open up one of the book notes here, we'll choose this one here, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and then we'll just roll over our YAML properties. You can see down here I've got a YAML property called cover base and then a link to the book cover. You also notice I've got this additional YAML property here called cover, and that's because Dataview pulls in my covers in this syntax here. So if we jump into the source mode, we can have a look at the difference between the two syntax. So in order to pull my cover base inside bases, I need to target the book link in quotations. If I tried to put an exclamation mark there, you'll see that the book cover disappears. So currently Obsidian Bases doesn't know how to display that book cover when it's got an exclamation mark at the front. So we need to take that away in order to show our book cover. Now, why wouldn't I just update this YAML property here? Well, if I scroll down to my bookshelf data view and then I take away the exclamation mark, then we notice that the Dataview query no longer shows that book cover. So I can't repurpose the cover YAML property to display on both the Dataview query and the Obsidian base, and writing a custom formula also doesn't work. So for now, I'm just running with 2 YAML properties, and I've only got about 90 books in my vault, so it's not the end of the world. So let's come back to our bookshelf and let's go visit another page. So we'll click the menu and we'll go to A to D, and you'll notice there that I've got 18 books inside my Dataview query. So if we have a look at the source code, we can see that this time we've got our books from A to E. So I'm replacing this with a base as well. So if we expand, we can see that I've now got a table set up for bookshelf 1 A to D, and we've got 16 results showing. And if we have a look at the filter, we can see that it's where the tag contains books and where the file name has the tag book. And then any of the following are true. So the book name starts with A to D, and then we've also included that emoji for the new notes that are going to have the emoji in front, and we're excluding one book from this result. If we click the view over here, we can see I've got all my other views. I don't want to show other views on this page, so that's why I'm targeting the specific view here. You can see here I've got my cover, so I can click and move that around if I wanted to have it in the center or over to the left-hand side. And I've now got dynamic tables that I can manipulate. So I could change this one to another status. I could put summarize back in. Could upgrade my rating to 4 stars, and I could add some more tags here if I wanted to. I could also add more properties, and I can click to go to my links for my author and see my book inside there as well. So let's have a look at the book covers. So you can see here I've got a Dataview query for my book covers, but we've got a few errors here. We've got a bookshelf note showing here. We've got a Dataview note showing here, one showing there. So if we have a look at the source code, we can see what that looks like. So Bases now gives us the power to show images in card layout. So if we expand the base here, you can see I've got a base set up for my book covers. Now you notice there's a lot of book covers missing, and that's because I haven't added that additional YAML property. So if I just choose one at random here, Be Unstoppable by Aidan Mills, you can see in the properties here I've got cover, but I haven't added cover base yet. So I need to add cover base. And then what I need to do once I have my cover base is copy this and paste it down and remove that exclamation mark. And also I can leave the 150, but I'll remove that as well. And then now my book cover shows over in the book cover base. So I don't have too many to fix. It'll be just my luck that I'll add them all in there, and then there'll be a change to bases to allow the exclamation mark. But for now, this is how I'm getting around it. If we select book covers here and hit the right arrow, we can configure the view and we can make the card size bigger if we want to. So you can see if I wanted bigger book covers, I could do that, and then I could make them smaller if I wanted to see more. I can also change the image aspect ratio, but it usually squeezes them a little bit and makes them a little bit too long. So I think 1.5 is a nice sweet spot. And then you can see I'm selecting the image property as cover base. So that's something I might play with. I quite like them to be a little bit bigger. And then if I'm interested in reading more about a book, then I can select, say, Atomic Habits, read my book note, grab the best ideas, the best tool, a little quote that I haven't spelt correctly. There we go, that's better. Finally, I've got a book base button, and this one links back to my bookshelf bases, and this one lives inside of my bases folder down where it says bookshelf. So I've set up one for bookshelf, and I've also got one for my book covers. So the book covers is just book covers, and then the bookshelf is all my book shelves, as well as Summarize 5, 4, and 3 star. Once you've finished adding all your book covers, they'll look something like this in your table view base. And you could even set up different views to narrow it down to specific letters of books. So for example, I've done one for A to K. So if you prefer to navigate your bookshelf that way, then that's another way that you can do it. Quick disclaimer. At the time of this recording, Bases is only available to Obsidian Catalyst members who are running Obsidian version 1.9.0 or above. So unless you're tuning in from the future, you'll need at least a minimal 25 USD Insider license to give Bases a try. How to set up your book space. Here we are inside of the Obsidian Bookshelf Vault Pro, and I'll just do a quick tour before we get started. So we've got our Start Here page, and if we jump into the bookshelf, we've got a sample of our bookshelf. If we click on the book covers, we have a sample of 9 books. I've got an old menu style system here, which links to A to Z, and then a button for creating a new book note. If you don't like the minimal theme style that I'm using here, you can navigate down to your settings, go up to appearance, scroll all the way down and turn on the cyber theme. That will go apply the same theme that I'm using in my Obsidian Vault. You may still need to customize some colors to get it exactly like mine, and I've done a video on how I customize my Obsidian theme. The first thing we want to do is we want to replace our Dataview query here. So if we jump into source mode, we can see that we've got our Dataview query here. We've got our bookshelf menu, and then we've got our bookshelf buttons. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a heading 2 called base, and then we're going to create a base to put in here. So to do that, we'll hit Control P, type in base, create new base. Give this one a name, call it books. So now we have a book space. By default, it'll place it in the Note Lab. So if you want to create a space for your bases, then go ahead and create a new folder called bases, and then move your new base into the bases folder. We'll then change the name of the table. So we'll select our table, configure view, and we'll call this one books. So we'll start by setting up our filter. So we'll come up to the top, select filter, and we want to toggle open the all views. And I'm going to say where the property tags contains book. So that's going to grab all the books. And then if you use inline tags, you can put another filter and say where the file as tag. and then the name of the tag, and it's in quotations, book. For our properties, we will keep the file name, we'll choose the rating, the status, the author, tags, and we might also put date created, or you can put date added if you use that instead. So we can see we don't have any YAML properties for date created or date added. So we might want to create a function there. So to do that, we can turn these two off and we can go down to add formula. And then we just need to give it a name. So we can say date added, and then we'll just add our formula. So it'll be date parentheses file dot ctime dot format parentheses quotations, and then the format of our date. So that will be our date added. And then finally, just our cover formula. So we'll go add formula, cover, and we'll say image, parentheses, cover base. And we can see that that's valid formula. So now if I hide the right pane, I can see I can move my cover over to the far left, and I could put my date added over there as well if I wanted to, or leave it where I would like it. So that's going to be our base table for our books. So now we can navigate back to the bookshelf. So we can create a workspace layout. So if we go Control P, managed workspace layouts, you can see we've only got our default one here. So what we need to do is create one. So I'll come back to start here, select my bookshelf. I'm just going to hide the left pane and do Control P, manage workspace layout. I'm going to call this one books. So that's going to be my main workspace. You can put a command link down here as well if you wanted to. So you see how you can go add new command, and you could put a manage workspace layout there, hit save on that. So now you've got a little shortcut down here. I also like to put a save as well. So if we click the plus again, put save, and go workspace, save layout, and then you've got a little save button that you can save the existing layout. Let's add our base now. So we'll hit enter exclamation mark, and we're going to bring in that base that we just created called Books Base. And there's all our books. So we don't have any covers yet, and that's because we need to fix our YAML properties. So we'll just hit the middle mouse button on 12 rules for life. And then I'm going to jump into the source mode and just copy the cover and paste it underneath. And I'll change this one to cover base and remove the exclamation mark and also the 150. So you can see I still don't have the cover showing here. So let's go troubleshoot it. So we'll close this one. We're going to come up to our properties. We're going to go down to our cover formula, and we can see the formula hasn't saved. So we're going to go image, cover base. Now we have our image. So there's our image. It's a bit squished. So what we can do there is come up to our table and configure the view. And we want to change the row height to extra tall. So now we have a little bit more of a nice cover that we can see. And you can see it's still a little bit squished here. We've got our stars here, and that's because we're using a CSS class called table wide. So we can just take that out, and that gives us a bit more space. And then we can drag this out to give our stars a little bit more room. And if we want any more room here, we can do so. And if we want to stretch it right out, then we can go table 100, and that's going to stretch it all the way to both sides of the layout. So the next thing I want to do is I want to upgrade this menu because I don't really like how it's got my bookshelf menu here. So what I want to do is I want to create a metabind embed for my menu. So to do that, I'm going to go down to my toolkit, go down to my snippets, and where it says metabind embeds, I'm going to right click and create a new note. I'm going to go back, and I need to give that new note a name. So I'm going to hit the middle mouse button, and I'm going to call this one metabind book menu. You can call it whatever you like. I'm going to cut all of this and paste it in here. And then what I'll do is I'll go into source mode and I'll take out this reference here. Now I've got my menu. So I need to embed that. So I'm going to copy this, come back in here, 3 backticks, metabind embed, and put that file in there. So now when I preview, I should have my menu, which is over here. And if I ever want to make changes to it, I can come down into my metabind embeds and make the changes here, and then they're going to update here. I just find the embeds are a lot cleaner to work with, so we'll upgrade that. Now we've got our new menu, we've got our new base, so we need to go put all our other images in. So just go through each one. So go through to this one, jump into the source mode, copy, paste, go to the front, cover base, take out the exclamation, and then you've got your new cover. So I'm just going to close this one and we'll do one more, a guide to the good life. So adding the cover base YAML property gives me a guide to the good life. And off camera, I've done the rest of the book covers to save time. You'll notice we've got a random automated book template note here. So we don't want this in the bookshelf. So we need to remove that. So we'll close this one, we'll come up to our filter. And we're going to add a filter where all the following are true. And I'm going to go and file name is not automated book template. Now, if I scroll down, that note is no longer there. So if you've got any notes that you don't want in the base, you can take them out by putting in a rule. So the next step is we need to create our bookshelves from A to Z for our books. So before we do that, we'll just hide the left pane to give ourselves a little bit more space. And then we're going to come down to books and I'm going to duplicate the view. And I'm going to call this one bookshelf 1 A to D and hit enter. And then we need to go set up some filters to filter the books from A to D. So we'll click on filter and then we need to come down and change this to any of the following are true. And we want to go into the advanced filter and type in file.name.starts with, and you can see it auto completes now. And then we want to add quotation and the letter A. So now any books that start with the letter A will show in the base. So we'll just copy that, go into the advanced filter and do the same for B, C, and D. If you're using prefix emojis, you can add them with the Windows key full stop and put a emoji before the letter. I'll just keep it pretty basic for now. So now we have our A to D filter. We don't need to adjust the properties because they just match the parent. So the next thing we'll do is we'll create E to H. So we'll go in, click the right arrow, duplicate the view. Then we'll adjust this to bookshelf 2, E to H. And then what we're going to do is come over to our filter and just change the letters here as well. So we'll just put E, F, G, and H. So you notice we don't have any books from E to H, so nothing shows up. So that's fine because we're just staging this bookshelf table. So we'll do the same for I to P. So come in, duplicate the view, change this to bookshelf 3, I to P, and then we need to adjust our filter. You can put more or less depending on how many books you've got. So I'm just copying and pasting to save time. So now I've got all my views from I to P, and you notice we don't have any books from I to P either. So just repeat the process for each section. And then what we're going to do is we'll set our bookshelf here back to our default view, which is books. And then we're going to jump into the source mode. And what I want to do is I want to take from here to here and copy it. Then I'm going to come down to my menu and go to bookshelf 1, go into source mode, delete and paste. And this is going to be my bookshelf 1, which is A to D. So I'm going to put a pound and select A to D. And now when I come off source mode, you can see I've got my new menu. That's my Metabind embed. I've got my existing buttons, but now I've got A to D. So if I go back to the bookshelf, you can see there's my first page. And then now I can go to my second page, which is A to D. I might want to change this up here as well. If you ever get that unloaded, you can just go back and go forward and that will fix it up. So we've got A to D. So let's do the next page. So we'll go into source mode, copy from here to here, go across to E to H, go into our source mode, get rid of our redundant data, put in our new data, but this time we select the E to H. We can preview that. Now we have E to H ready, staged, ready to go. And you can remove the Dataview query if you don't want to keep that anymore. I'm just keeping it in there for the moment. And then we'll do the next page, which is I to P. Come into source mode, delete, paste, change our I to P, come out of source mode. Now we've got I to P. We can see our menu. So then we need to create R to S because we haven't done that yet. So we can come down, duplicate our view. This will be bookshelf 4 R to S. Now, because we're on I to P, we might want to go back to I to P, and then we'll navigate to R to S, go into our source mode, get rid of our redundant data, and then we just change this to our R to S, and then we just need to go change our filters. So we'll come into our filter, get rid of our extra ones, put R to S, which is only 2. So now we have R to S. Then we'll do T. So we will duplicate the view, call this one T. T will be 5. And we'll just switch it back to R to S. And then we'll go into our source mode, copy, come over to our next one, which is T. Come into source mode, get rid of our redundant data, paste our new block, change this one to T, review that. Now we have T. We can check our filter. We just need to change that to T. So now we have our books staged for T. And the last one will be U to Z. So we will go over to U to Z, and we'll come up to source mode, get rid of our redundant data, paste in, and we will need to create that new view. So we'll just take this out, come down, select T, duplicate the view, and we will change this one to bookshelf 6, U to Z. Then we just need to change the filter. So we'll go over to our filter, put in U, go into our advanced, add a new filter, advanced, U, D, advanced, paste, W, X, Y, and Z. So now we have our bookshelf base staged for U to Z. We can see we've got an untitled book here, and there's no notes in there at the moment. So we can either delete that or just leave it. So now we have everything from A to Z. So let's head over to the book covers. We can see here that we've got our old Dataview query here. So we want to create a base for our book covers. We also want to fix the menu here. So let's go back, go into source mode. We're going to copy these 2 MetaBind embeds first. And I'll go over to book covers, come into source mode, take out the redundant data there. So now we have our menu as well as our MetaBind buttons. We're already on the book covers page, but that's okay. So we need to create our book covers. So to do that, let's open up our left pane, and we're going to hit Control P, type in base, and create a new base. We'll call this one book covers. So now we have our book covers base, and we'll move that down into our bases folder. Then we're going to change the view from a table view to a cards view. Now we need to tell what the image property is. So we're going to change that to cover base, and then we just need to choose the size that we want. So we adjust the image ratio to 1.5, and then it's really up to you how big or small you want your book covers to be. If you want to see more, make them smaller. I'll just go around 160, and we'll call this one book covers. So now we have our book covers. So we'll head back over to our bookshelf. So we'll come into our Manage Workspace Layout, load our books, come over to our book covers, and then we're going to put our base here. So we'll go exclamation mark and select our book covers base. And now they'll show inside of there. We haven't set up our filter yet, so we need to go do that next. So we will click filter here, and then we're going to say where tags contains and whatever tag we're using. In this case, it's going to be book. So that's going to show all the book notes or book covers. We can see we've got a couple of rogue ones here. We've got untitled and automated again. So we can go into our filter, add a new filter where file name is not automated book template. And that gets rid of the book template. Now you see it looks a bit weird with the Dataview query below. So let's go hide that. Just go Dataview. And you could get rid of this if you didn't want the Dataview query anymore. So we'll just hide that. And now we have our new book covers base showing our book covers. So if we want to navigate through to see what we've done, we can go to our bookshelf, go to A to D, E to H, I to P, R to S, T, U to Z. which we haven't set up yet. So we need to clean that one up. So we'll just come in here and put in our U to Z, take out our extra syntax there. So now we have U to Z, and go back to our book covers. And if you wanted to create another workspace layout, you could load it up and say book covers, hit save. So now you have your book covers, and then you have your books. So I hope this video has been useful and you've got something out of it. I'll make this available in the Bookshelf Pro Vault as an additional vault that you can use if you don't want to use the existing Dataview one. I hope that you enjoyed my Obsidian Bases bookshelf setup. Since Bases evolves weekly with new features, subscribe for the latest tutorials and let me know in the comments which videos you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.